Welcome back to the Spirit, the Beyond Files.
You ready to crust into reality? You're in the right place.
Let's dive in.
She saw her 2 old dogs that passed away, playing in the afterlife. A young woman named Julie posted a heartwarming clip on TikTok of her 2 dogs playfully running around the living room. But what her viewers didn't know was that her 2 dogs sadly passed away over 2 years ago. It seems like Julie's pets are still having fun together, even in the afterlife.
I would be so excited if I saw that.
That shows that pets love truly transcends all realms.
Did you know that Bold Street in Liverpool is allegedly a hotspot for time slips? The newspaper The Liverpool Echo regularly posts stories about time slips that happen in and around the city of Liverpool. In 2006, a 19-year-old man named Sean was caught shoplifting, and he was running from a security guard through the streets. Sean ran down a dead-end alleyway and turned around expecting to see the security guard following him. But the security guard never did follow him, so Sean walked back out into the street and it was completely different. Road surfaces were all different, Sean didn't recognise any of the vehicles that were driving around, and people were dressed really strangely. Sean recognised the streets, but he also recognised that they weren't the same as they were when he'd run down that alleyway. Completely panicked at this point, he walked to a newspaper kiosk where the date on the front of the newspaper said the 18th of May 1967. Sean began to panic and ran. And the further he ran, the more things started to become more recognisable for him. So when Sean eventually stopped and looked down the other end of the street, he could see that the people in the street still looked like they were stuck in 1967. But where he was now looked like the present. It would be really easy to dismiss Sean as an unreliable narrator in this story. However, the journalist interviewed the security guard that was chasing Sean, and the security guard stated that when he chased Sean down that alleyway, he literally watched him disappear into thin air before his eyes. Sean was interviewed a number of times about this story, and his story remained consistent. The details that he gave about the street in 1967 also matched what the street would have looked like in 1967. Whatever happened on that day, both Sean and the security guard stated that they were profoundly impacted by the events.
Temporal twist, a leap through time.
Yeah, it sounds like he must be like a jumper or something. If I knew it was a different era,
Yeah.
I'd probably just take my
I
time.
don't know. I think I'd be freaked out that I'd get stuck and locked in there. I don't know if I'd want to be locked in.
Steal some money and run.
Oh, yeah. But then if you can't get back,
But you have all the knowledge of the future.
you could go back with some knowledge and invest. I believe that there's advanced technologies hidden underneath the grounds and buried.
Back then, they were way more advanced than we give them credit for.
It makes you wonder if they left their mark on the most enduring wonders of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was told by one of the guides a couple years ago that, get as much as you can coming in here because they say that they may one day shut off access to the king's chamber. I said, why would they do that? He said, well, they're afraid that, the pyramids earthquake or something could make it unstable. I'm like, this thing has been here for thousands of years. It's not going to become unstable. That's foolishness. What's happening is they've discovered something technological about it, and they want to control it. So
NASA owns the rights to the interior of the Great Pyramid.
Yes.
That's spooky.
They also own the rights to a section of the Grand Canyon. So I took a helicopter down into the Grand Canyon. They said we can't walk to this area. That area I heard had some old carvings or something would be over in this area. So I started trying to walk that way. And this guy pops out of nowhere with all black on, black hat, black military outfit with no logos, and an AR-15 and tells me, halt, you can't go any further. I'm like, why? I said, what's going on? Oh, didn't they tell you couldn't come over here? I said, well, they did, but I'm thinking, I just want to see, what's over here.
Right.
And he says, you can't come. I said, well, why? What? I said, can you just tell me, sir, like, why can't I come over here? He says, NASA owns the rights to this section. You can't come over here.
At the Grand Canyon.
At the Grand Canyon.
Do you have any theories of why that is?
It's got to be technological. Starts in something with space. And then also, where else? Chaco Canyon. Same situation. They actually own the rights to those round former things that look like they might have been domes or whatever. That now there's no dome, but you can see those round circles.
Where are those at?
Chaco Canyon. That's in South America. And so it's like, so wait a minute, what's going on here? How in the world what are they doing? As soon as India sent that satellite to Mars and took a color image of Mars, the real color with the oceans and the water and everything of Mars, the director of NASA flew straight to India, and the next thing you know, about a month later, they're signing a deal there. It's a whole press release about it, and they now put them under their umbrella. And the next thing you know, that image, they put something called false color on it, turned the whole thing red. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, the newest image of Mars just got released. I have an image that I took with my Celestron telescope, and a new one just came out. This new image of Mars.
How long ago?
Just the other day.
Really?
They finally let somebody see what Mars really looks like. That's it right there. So, and I'm going to send you the one I took years ago with my Celestron 130 telescope.
Earth.com. Steve, if you can find it, find out. It's called Planet Mars Captured in True Color for the First Time Ever. It's on Earth.com. Wow.
Yeah.
What is all the blue supposed to be?
Water.
Really?
Guess what they just said about Mars recently? They said that the soil on Mars is better for growing crops than the soil on Earth.
What are you hiding, NASA? Why aren't you sharing this information with the general population?
That's crazy that they own rights to the inside of the pyramid. I didn't know that. There's so many shenanigans. All I can see in my head is that the guy from Ancient Aliens with the hair and just was like, alien.
Okay. This shit is crazy. I can't get up from bed. I'm laying down. And out of nowhere, if you guys could hear, that's my bathroom. I can't get up because I have all kinds of equipment stuck on me. The shower started out of nowhere. And this happened again yesterday. And the nurses thought that I was tripping because of the morphine and the oxycodone and fentanyl and all the shit they're giving me. The freaking shower's going. And then, once again, I can't get up. And the sink turns on. This room's fucking haunted, on the real.
Can you imagine being stuck in that kind of fear?
In a hospital where it's already scary to be anyway.
You can't even get up.
It happens all the time, though. I just had a client that was in the hospital for 2 weeks. She said her and the person she was sharing the room with, only at night, all this weird stuff happened in their room.
I don't like hospitals, by the way. You can't even sleep in them anyway, so.
Who does like hospitals?
Maybe there's some weirdos out there that like
I can't hardly handle it when I'm in one.
No.
Do you mean to tell me that Neil Armstrong in 1969...
Oh, don't get me started.
He's in outer space. And the president called him on a landline.
Are you nuts?
He called him on a
landline phone.
And he is in nebula.
Hey, you mean to tell me we went to the moon back before there was color on TV?
They went up in an aluminum box that kindergartners can make now.
And then they said, we're good now and not going back.
Did you see the guy's hoof? Did you see the boot he was wearing?
Are you nuts?
It's not even the same footprint. It's literally not the same.
We couldn't.
Did he switch shoes? Because as soon as he takes off, his foot's purple and ice, and it's floating into nothing.
Hey, that was before www. was invented, and we're in Space?
Before we could stream a basketball game from 2 states over, we're walking and hitting golf balls in outer space.
Are you nuts?
Come on, dog.
We're with E.T. hanging
Come
out,
on,
making
dog.
friends. Are
Come
you
on,
nuts?
dog. President picks up a landline like he's calling grandma for a recipe. And he's like, hey, you doing good, Neil? No.
And the fact
Not
that
happening.
Neil is so defensive about this now,
Yeah.
like people go up to be like, "Hey,
No,
is
he
that
went-
actually real?" He hit somebody,
Dude, because he knows it's not.
One small step for mankind, one giant leap for Hollywood. I'm not buying it. I don't think we got there with the technology we had. We had the technology of a calculator. There's no way.
Yeah, there's a book out there. I know Candace Owens has spoken on it, but basically breaks down the type of metal that rocket was made out of and the force field or whatever that they
The
had to go-
radiation.
Yeah,
Felt
there's just no way it
No.
would have even made it.
too many things just don't add up. So I can't.
Calling on that landline. I can't even go down the road to my mom's house without the cell phone breaking up. Hey guys, if you enjoy exploring the unknown with us, then hit the like icon and also hit that bell so you can continue to get notifications when we post a new video. Your support means the world to us, and that helps us just keep making incredible videos for you guys.
If you're laying in bed and you actually want to sleep tonight, then you should skip this. For the rest of us who like scaring the shit out of ourselves, welcome. When I was a kid, my best friend asked a Ouija board how old she was going to be when she died. Okay, spoiler, it told her 22. Probably wondering, did she die at 22? I'm going to tell you a story that only 3 people know. Well, 2, because one of them is dead. This story starts about 20 years ago when Christina and I were about 12. We were inseparable and we used to hang out with her older sister all the time. We were at their house a lot. Looked like a normal suburban house on the outside, but I swear you walked in and it was like a portal to the underworld. This house scared the absolute shit out of me. I would hear screams coming from the attic and I would look down this long, dark, creepy hallway, see dark figures like motioning up when I'm trying to sleep at night. To make matters worse, we would sit in her room with the lights dim, pull out the Ouija board and play all the time. But here's the thing, it only ever worked for Christina. It was like she had some weird connection to it. Naturally, her sister and I always thought this was fake and she was just doing it for attention because it would move so fast all over the place, telling us everything. Never worked when we did it alone, so we were a little bit suspicious. Whatever ghost was on the other side of this had diarrhea of the mouth. This was not like you see on the horror movies where it's like, oh, this is slowly moving to yes or no. Like, no, this was like a T9 texting expert ghost that word vomited constantly. So one day we had just finished watching Big Fish, and in that movie there is this creepy old witch and you can ask her how old you're going to be when you die. Christina loved this idea. Next thing you know, she's pulling out the Ouija board and immediately asking, how old am I going to be when I die? Planchette slowly starts to move towards the numbers and it hovers over the 2, and then it takes a little bit of a movement back and comes right back to the 2. Christina didn't even skip a beat. She grabs her red notebook that she wrote down all of the answers the Ouija board said in it, wrote down, age I'm gonna die, 22. Completely calm. Little did we know, something was set in motion and some weird shit started happening for the next 10 years. About a year after the Ouija board incident, Christina's middle school boyfriend tragically died. He was babysitting his 3-year-old little sister, hanging a rope swing for her in the backyard. The parents got home, found the little girl screaming in the backyard, looking at her brother hanging by the tree. He accidentally got tangled in the rope and hung himself. He had been dead for about 3 hours. While Christina was upset about this, she wasn't hysterical, more so distant. And she said to me, I think I'm gonna see him again soon. I just don't see myself growing old. I can't be that upset about it because something like that might happen to me. For the sake of being able to sleep at night, I wrote off a lot of these things. Christina and I grew apart over the years. A couple of other creepy things happened here and there, but for the most part, I think she had a pretty normal life. She got a job, got a fiance, seemed pretty happy from what I could tell. So now we're about 21 and Christina's wedding is coming up. I didn't go to the wedding, but I saw this footage later. Christina's standing at the altar, all smiles, having just been married, trying to take photos with her family. Softly in the background, you hear a little girl singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Christina yells super loudly, Kenna, it's time to take photos. And the camera just slowly pans left. And then you get a great view of this beautiful little flower girl sitting in a pew, holding a Bible upside down, singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. She shuts the Bible, takes a couple of steps towards the aisle, and slowly walks forward. I shit you not, this 3-year-old looks up at this bride and says, "Christina, are you gonna die soon?" Freaked out when she heard this, which would be a normal response, but I heard her talk about death so many times as a teenager and just how it didn't faze her that it was a little bit odd to hear her talking about it like this. I really think it's because she was 5 months pregnant. Things had changed for her. About a year after the wedding, Christina was at a cabin with her family in the mountains, having some celebration. Everyone was there, including her newborn son. It seemed like one of those days where nothing could go wrong. Her family always had a 4-wheeler that we would take around the mountains and have a really good time on. At some point in the afternoon, her and a friend decided to take it out for a ride. But that day, something was different. As they rode through the trails, everything seemed all right until Christina screamed, "The brakes aren't working." They flew off of a cliff. Both of them were rushed to the hospital. Christina didn't make it. She died on the way there. 22.
A deadly encounter with a Ouija board. Once again, another reason not to use it. You don't really hear of many encounters like that give you those predictive dates.
And it kind of seems like ever since she used that Ouija board, she just wasn't right either.
Yeah.
Like something had a little bit of a hold on her.
Attachment.
Buckle up because there are 3 new Thanksgiving Mandela effects. If you're from my original timeline, then you remember Thanksgiving always was on the 3rd Thursday. I checked this. Now it's showing that it's altered to be the 4th Thursday in November. Are you kidding? How many Novembers do you remember it landing on the 24th, 25th, 26th? That's usually when Thanksgiving is. Now it's the last week? What? Pilgrims are always shown as having a buckle on their hats. Now the buckles from all of the artworks are missing, and I am an art history student. I was of 7 years. What? Third, the cornucopias, such as from Fruit of the Loom, not only have disappeared from Fruit of the Loom, but they've disappeared from all of the notable artworks of that time period.
That's crazy. I felt like even the date was off this year.
Yeah.
I know it's on the 3rd Thursday.
It was really weird to me. Like usually it's around like the 25th. It's never usually the last. And I think some people argue it, but I really think we're from a different timeline at this point.
I think so. I think the people that are arguing it's on the last Thursday of the month are on a different timeline than us. And also, I totally remember the buckle on the hat, right?
Yep.
I remember the cornucopia
Yeah, like
completely.
I remember when I was a kid in the 90s, Fruit of the Loom. I remember that very clearly.
I remember drawing the buckle as a little kid on the hat, drawing Thanksgiving pictures in
Yeah.
school when they'd make us do a turkey with a little pilgrim hat on it. It's just really weird.
It is weird. All this timeline shift stuff,
Shifting.
Yeah.
Glamour shot photobomb.
That gives me the creeps so much.
Do you think you'd feel it? I mean, she didn't seem to feel it.
I think I would feel it.
I think I would too.
But sometimes, honestly, I don't know. I feel like it happens when you're not expecting it or you're not thinking about it. Because there's a lot of times that I just saw something and I wasn't even thinking about spirits. And I'm like, whoa.
Processing is different. Like you'll see something and go, wait, did I see that? But it's like on a delay, like when you stub your toe.
Yeah.
The pain doesn't come right away, but the spook doesn't come right away.
Yeah.
Empathy burnout is a real thing. After so many years of putting other people first, overpouring, overgiving, people-pleasing, trying to understand people's reasons for hurting you, you're exhausted, drained, and indifferent. So when people cry to return after treating you badly, you just no longer care. If someone who has been in my life comes and says something to you about me, even if it's negative, I might tell you to believe them because of what they had to do to get me to that point. I am absolutely a villain in some people's stories. But people's minds and memories are selective, and they just start where I became the villain. And I am very comfortable being the villain in your story, because I know myself well enough to know I will never wake up and intentionally want to hurt you. And even when you hurt me, I will never want to hurt you back. But you best believe I will stand my ground. You will no longer have access to me. And if I come off as cruel, so be it.
It's hard to set boundaries sometimes, but I think standing your ground means survival.
I also think it's really interesting because every single person you know, you're a different person to them. Everyone sees you differently and they have different memories of you and different feelings and thoughts about your character. Some people will think you're just a really quiet person, and then some people think you're like a loud, obnoxious person, and that's like their thought.
Yeah.
And it's all true.
Yeah.
Thank you all for journeying beyond the veil with us with To the Spirit Beyond Files. Until our next adventure, may the mysteries of the universe continue to spark mysteries in your heart. Keep seeking, fellow explorers.